I just told my grandmother that I would pay her to go to the movies with me, like pay for her ticket and give her extra money if she went with me. So, ignoring that fact and reading chapter 21 of The Calling by Elsie Pye. Talia. Under the cover of the night sky, Adira led us a few hundred feet from Hatley to where she had found the guards' camp. I wrapped my arms around myself tightly, hoping to bring warmth into my frozen bones. As we stumbled along, their camp was deserted. Gil moved past me, hovered a hand over the extinguished fire. There's still some heat, he asserted. Nadav sourced the edges of the camp. It took minutes for him to locate the tracks left behind by their horses. Discouragement filled my heart as I inspected the sets of hoof prints. I shouldn't have listened to Raph and waited. I should have followed that guard on my own. We were traveling on foot. We would probably have to travel all night to make up for the lost ground. I had that feeling that my finally healed feet were about to hate me again. By the time dawn came, I was exhausted. I was already tired from all the dancing the night before, but now, having walked all through the night, I couldn't feel my legs. Knowing we were at least moving closer to Jules again helped me push past the pain. Part of me even welcomed it. It lessened the guilt that had become a permanent resident in my chest. Alone, come see this, Nadav yelled from up ahead, where he was tracking the trail. I pushed my way to the front. Everyone else was right on my heels. Crutched low, Nadav ran his hand over the ground. There was an altercation here. He pointed at the two indentions in the ground. Look, these indentions appear to be from someone being tackled to the ground. Move back, Nadav directed, circling the area where the indentions formed on the ground. There were multiple footprints. A group of people were here. It could be our kidnappers. Can you tell how old the footprints are? Alone asks. Perhaps a day or two. They're leading northeast, which was the directions the kidnappers were traveling before, Nadav answered. Let's camp here. I want you and Raph to scout up ahead and see where those prints lead. I don't want us walking into any unnecessary danger, Alone said and dismissed Nadav and Raph right away. The rest of us set up camp, anxiously awaiting their return. Hope began to bubble up within me, although my hope was tempered at the thought that it was equally likely Jules was not with them anymore, that they had already used here for whatever sick plan they had for the young women. Squeezing my eyes shut, I forced my hope to resurface. I refused to believe we were too late. The sun was at its peak, and Nadav and Raph had not returned. I peered out at the trees. They had been gone for what seemed like hours, but in reality, it probably hadn't even been one. You all right? I jumped when Adira sat down on the ground beside me. I had taken up residence right next to the fire, which was still burning from our noon meal, trying to get rid of the deep chill inside my bones, but the fire wasn't doing anything to help. Yes, I muttered and reached for my pendant, and then remembering it no longer hung around my neck, I dropped my hands back into my lap. Adira covered both of my hands with hers to stop them from shaking. I flinched. I can't stop thinking that I'm too late, I blurted out. That I won't be able to save Jules. That we'll find the kidnappers and Jules won't be there. What do I do then? You can't let yourself think like that. It's not helpful. Her hands remained on top of mine, and her warmth poured into my chest, chasing some of the chill away from my bones. You're right, we don't know what Nadav and Raph will find. But sitting here thinking about the worst possible outcome isn't helping anyone. Jules may still be out there, and she needs you at your best, not crippled by fear. I knew she was right. Jules could still be out there, and I'm sitting here thinking of the worst. It wouldn't help anyone. And me sitting here thinking of the worst wouldn't help anyone. You're right. I released a long breath. She removed her hand and patted me on the back. It will work out. I gave her a small smile in return. They're back! Gil yelled out, rushing toward the trees. Closing my eyes, I inhaled deeply, ready for whatever news they had. Short chapter.